Two AI powerhouses, Claude and Perplexity. One big question, which one really delivers? On the left, Claude, famed for its deep reasoning and natural conversation skills. And on the right, Perplexity, known for lightning-fast answers and impressive web search smarts. We're putting both to the test with real-world challenges that count. Accuracy, speed, usability, creative output, and more. Let's skip the marketing hype and get straight to what matters. Each category gets points, and at the end, you'll see exactly who comes out on top. The winner might just surprise you. Let's get into it. Okay, before we dive in, here's a little roadmap of what we're actually comparing. Model strength, up-to-date knowledge, citation and attribution, conversation flow, developer and API ecosystem, interface and usability, and price. So, whether you're a power user, just curious, or want something easy, we've kinda got all bases covered. Cool? Let's roll. Starting off with model strength. Alright, here's where Claude totally flexes. We're talking context windows so huge you could literally drop an entire novel in. It just eats all that info and still spits out answers. And the reasoning? Super creative. Sometimes, I'll admit, it goes into like verbose or overly cautious mode, but it's still top notch. Perplexity though, it's fast, snappy, and honestly, in real world Q&A, it keeps up really well. It does get capped at a smaller window for most users though, so heavy research folks might bump up against that limit. So advantage Claude here. Moving on up-to-date knowledge. Oh, this is definitely Perplexity's jam. If you care about what's happening literally right now, it's going to pull in fresh info, real-time stuff from across the web, and it just cites everything. Claude's catching up. They do let you browse if you're on a paid plan, but the core model sometimes lags behind the absolute latest news. So for live coverage and fast updates, Perplexity's got it. Now, let's talk about citations and attribution. Alright, Perplexity doesn't mess around here. Every answer is dotted with linked sources, sometimes almost too many, but hey, transparency, right? Claude can offer context and will quote sources when it can browse, but it's not the default experience every single time. If you want to double check everything, Perplexity just makes it effortless. Clear win for Perplexity. Oh, and here's something cool. Did you know Claude 3 Opus is so powerful it can process an entire novel in one go? And Perplexity was actually the first chatbot to have default footnoted citations. Wild, right? Just a little AI trivia for you. Alright, switching gears to conversation flow. This is where Claude shines. Like, the way it keeps context over long chats, how human and nuanced everything feels. It's honestly scary good sometimes. Sure, sometimes it rambles on a bit too much, but for deep chats, it's so natural. Perplexity is structured, super clear, no nonsense, but compared to Claude, it can feel almost like talking to a very smart form. So, conversationalists, Claude's your buddy. Now, developer and API ecosystem. Perplexity is making moves here. Open APIs, tons of integrations, super easy to get started if you want to plug it into anything. Claude's API is solid, well documented, but it comes with some gatekeeping and lags a bit with updates. So if you're a dev looking to build, you'll probably vibe more with Perplexity here. Alright, interface and usability. Perplexity honestly goes a bit overboard, but in a good way. Instant suggestions, citation previews, you can dig deep or just skim for answers. For some, it might feel busy, but you get a ton of tools at your fingertips. Claude's interface is, like, the opposite. Super clean, very little gets in your way with solid mobile integration, but there's less room to tweak stuff, and enterprise is definitely top of mind for them. But for overall flexibility, gotta give it to Perplexity again. And price. Now, kind of a surprise here. They're both surprisingly generous. Claude and Perplexity both have free tiers, and honestly, if you're just poking around, you might never pay a cent. But when you need heavy-duty features, both move you to subscriptions. Perplexity's premium is cheaper and pretty transparent, while Claude charges for the absolute power models. Both could ding you depending on what you need, so yeah, I'm calling this one a tie. If you're a visual learner, here's how things stack up overall. You'll see Claude really owning the conversation depth and model prowess, while Perplexity dominates in real-time research, citations, dev tools, and user features. The chart really shows they're targeting different crowds. So, final thoughts. If you want creative, nuanced convos and high-level reasoning, Claude is your go-to. But research fiends, fact-checkers, and anyone who's all about live, cited info, Perplexity is unbeatable. Kinda feels like Claude's the novelist and Perplexity's the journalist. The ultimate winner? Let's be honest, it's Perplexity, but only if real-time, cited knowledge is your thing. Otherwise, Claude's depth is tough to match. If you enjoyed this AI battle, shout out which two you want to see face off next. And don't forget to follow. We drop these head-to-heads all the time, so you always know what's new in the AI world.